What's up, everyone? It's Karthik with Money Vest. So here we are on a Friday. This has been a very red week as the markets have really sold off after Jerome Powell's speech and, of course, the FOMC meeting. And today we had the core PCE and the actual PCE headline personal consumption expenditure numbers come out earlier today. The markets are starting to recover a little bit, but we are still down quite a bit. We got the NASDAQ here down a little bit over 80 basis points, with the S&P 500 down about 90 basis points. And of course, a lot of individual stocks, including Tesla, down 2%. Nvidia is down another 78 basis points. Volatility is, or at least it was up a little bit over 26. It was trading up to 26 right now, and it's now back down to 23.7. So yes, we do have a little bit of a panic in the markets on the back of what was a hangover from Jerome Powell's speech. And PCE numbers already came out earlier today. So this right here were the actual numbers. If you take a look at the core PCE month over month sitting at 0.1%, they actually came in much better than what the expectations were, which is why we're seeing this recovery in the market. So 0.1% month over month versus 0.2%. Expectations, core PCE also coming in at 2.8%. versus the expectations of 2.9, and then headline inflation, which is headline PCE, once again coming in at 0.1% month over month, better than expectations of 0.2, and headline year over year sitting at 2.4% versus expectations of 2.5. So all in all, I think all these four numbers coming in better than expectations is what's causing the markets to rotate back a little bit to the upside. We saw some nice little recovery here. But the real question is, are we going to see the markets hold up these levels or not? So this right here is the NASDAQ, and it's most likely going to be opening about 80 basis points lower. So we're talking somewhere around 19,200. So right around here. Unless, of course, that changes in the next 12 minutes, which I'm not sure if it's going to. But we're probably going to open around here, and this right here is going to turn into a resistance right now as soon as the markets open. And SPX is going to also open about 80 basis points lower than where we're trading at the moment. So that's going to be somewhere around 5,800. So 5,800, that's going to be sitting right about there. And we're going to go ahead and turn this level into a resistance once again. This was the same exact level where we are struggling to break out of back in October of this year. So October 2024, which eventually then turned into a support after we broke out of that level post-election. And now that's going to be turned into a resistance once again. So that is going to be that level to keep in mind. So coming over to a lot of individual stocks. So but before we get there, I do also want to go over the Fear Greed Index, both on our platform. So the Money Vest Index, of course, is 2.92. This number will get updated after the markets open today, since we are already selling off a little bit further. I'm assuming this number is going to be under 2.9, 2.85, around those levels. And if you come over to the CNN Fear and Greed Index, you'll notice that we are already down to extreme fear in this market. And look, this is the kind of curveballs market throw at you, because 3 days ago, if you go back 3 days ago, everything was different. Everything was very, very good. We were in sort of greed territory. The markets were pushing higher and everything was nice. Everything was feeling good. But in just 2 to 3 days, just market's entire tune just shifted completely. And, we talked about this during our video, the FOMC video that I did. So definitely do check out if you haven't already. But I talked about how the markets are now really concerned about where inflation's going to be. And yes, we are coming down. Yes, we are seeing some disinflation, but at the same time, this is nowhere near close to the Fed's target, and the Fed's target's at 2%. And so the biggest mistake that, in my opinion, the Federal Reserve ended up making this year was cutting a little too much too early when it wasn't really needed. Yes, there was a lot of analysts, investors advocating for rate cuts. Because that's what causes the markets to go up, right? At the end of the day, that's really what we want, is we want higher prices, because markets going up is going to be making money for everybody. But we also have to understand the consequence of doing so. And I think 25 would have been a better approach. 25 and then maybe another 25 and then maybe calling it there, or maybe another 25 or 75 would have been the ideal number for this year if they really wanted to cut interest rates and bring them down to some less restrictive, a little bit more neutral territory. But cutting it to 100 basis points and starting at 50 was, in my opinion, a little too much too fast, and there wasn't really anything to fix for in the economy, right? Because we really have to understand that the interest rates, which again are controlled by the Federal Reserve, the short-term interest rates, as seen by the federal funds rate, is at the end of the day, it is a tool to be utilized to try to fix something, to try to fix whatever is broken in the economy. And so, they raise rates to try to fix what? Inflation. And similarly, they lower rates to try to fix what? Recession or deflation. And so on the way up, yes, they were trying to fix inflation, but on the way down, they didn't really have anything broken. And so that's where the concerns are coming from the market, that now that they've cut interest rates by 100 basis points and inflation continues to be sticky, it's possible that it starts reaccelerating back up. And that's really where a lot of this sell-off is coming from, where volatility is also pretty elevated. We're trading above 23, 24. We got up to as much as 27, 28 earlier in the week. And if it stays at these elevated levels, as discussed in my yesterday's market update, as it was over here, you'll notice that the 20 was the floor. If 20 is the floor, 30 is the ceiling, that's a pretty elevated volatility in the market. And, obviously we saw what happened in 2022. But this right here is 2024, where 12 is the floor and 20 is the ceiling. So what used to be a floor for the market turned into a ceiling in a bull market. And if that turns into a floor once again, that means elevated levels of volatility. That means the markets are going to be more vulnerable for potential downside. So that's where we are. We're going to see where the markets open here, and if we have any buyers stepping in. But this week, of course, we are down quite a bit. We're down a little bit over 3.5%, almost 4% for S&P 500. Actually, for the NASDAQ, we're going to be down 3.5%, close to 4%. For S&P 500, we're going to be down a little bit over, the same. They're same, exactly the same. They're both down a little bit over 3% so far on the week, thanks to the sell-off after the Fed meeting on Wednesday. So that was the brutal sell-off here. So once again, thank you so much for joining, everyone. I really appreciate you all, and it's quite the day. Cash ticket puts on Enphase, not holding AMD. Thoughts on AMD? So let's take a quick look on some of these stocks here. So Advanced Micro Devices continues to sell off as with any other stock right now, so down under 69 basis points. So support level that I would watch for AMD is going to be sitting roughly at around $116. So that would be the level to watch, Merian. So that's going to be that level to keep in mind. Of course, it's very oversold, coming down very aggressively. So that would be the level to watch for AMD at 116. For Enphase, I've had Enphase, I've traded Enphase, and the support level right now is going to be sitting roughly at $58. And so I'm not really keen on selling puts right now because, as discussed, the fundamentals have to get better for Enphase in 2025, and if they're able to see better sell-through rates and better product innovation over in Europe, and again, especially in the US, they need to see better sell-through rates and get those fundamentals back up, revenue, profitability, all that good stuff, because it really did see a significant decline, right? So if you come over to our platform and just simply go over to the quarterly numbers for what Enphase has been producing over the last several quarters here, so fundamental analysis, and you go over to the last, let's say, frequency to quarter, go back to, let's say, 16 quarters and simply plot for revenues and profits, you'll notice a significant decline that we witnessed after 2023. So 2024, we've just seen really, really low numbers. It's starting to rotate back up. So really in the last 4 quarters, you'll notice that we're starting to see a little bit of that progress back up to the upside. But that is exactly what I want to see. I want to see more of that before I start to feel a little bit more confident again if Enphase is worth taking some trades on or not. So buying time, slowly deploy now. Yes, so it really comes down to slowly and steadily deploying the capital, because I would take it very very nice and slow because this was the first buy trigger of 2024. And if you come over to 2023, we got plenty of them, right? We in fact came down to 2.4 to as low as 2.29. We even dipped into the fear territory for the markets back in October 23. And so I think it's really important for us to be patient, be disciplined, understand that markets can certainly go a lot lower from where they are right now. Nobody really at the end of the day knows how low the markets are going to go. So yes, Travis, August was a good buy. I agree. So in 2024, you'll notice that August was a very, very good buying opportunity there. And then even April 24 was a good buying opportunity. So really the markets have given us two very good opportunities this year. And this would be the third one. And this is purely from a risk reward standpoint, right? It takes into account volatility, market breadth, and then a lot of other indicators that we look at, such as the relative strength in the market, how much it's actually down from its all-time highs, all those things considered from a risk-reward standpoint, this would be the third higher quality buying opportunity. And that's exactly what I would be doing, is deploying a little bit of capital slowly and steadily. A few of you asking questions about MicroStrategy. So it is down almost 2%, starting to break down a little bit. This is the chart that I shared in our Discord. I shared a lot of charts, technical charts, for a lot of different stocks in our Discord, and you'll notice that we were making a little bit of this descending triangle, which is usually a little bit of a bearish chart. And so we broke down below this 335 support, and the next level is going to be down as low as 269 at 270. There might be some support at a higher level. So let's see, 4-hour chart. Yeah, so previous resistance potentially acting as a support here at 269. So that would be the level to watch. And we've got a very, very small gap to also fill for MicroStrategy. So that would be the technicals for this stock. And as we know that it trades, very closely to Bitcoin, it's already down 95,000. That's where it's trading right now. We're seeing a little bit of that move back up, but down over 2%. At the moment, Bitcoin is down from 107,000. So we're seeing a little bit of a 12.5% sell-off in Bitcoin. And that's how quickly markets change. But yes, we'll take a look at some other stocks here as well. I'm going to go over NVO, so Novo Nordisk, Occidental as well. And then just a few other stocks you guys are talking about. Tesla call expires next week. Please come back to 250. Let's go, Sergio says. 250, huh? That's going to be crazy. I mean, 250 for Tesla is just going to be a wild drop from these levels. And, I sold calls at $800, $850. They're up. They're probably going to be up a lot. And so those are acting as a hedge, kind of protecting a little bit of my portfolio, right? Because Tesla is 17% of my portfolio right now. I did a whole update on my current portfolio holdings. About 8 stocks is all I have. Right now, it's really consolidated, and I traded a lot of stocks this year. I sent out every update on our Discord and also shared that update in the market update from yesterday. So right now, Tesla is certainly a big part of the portfolio, about 17%. So I'll see if I can trim a little bit of that, considering that it's a very sizable position. So the idea would be to get rid of my calls and then maybe sell more calls, or just straight up sell to kind of lower that allocation on Tesla. So D-Striped, thank you so much for that donation. I hear your thoughts on Alibaba, Chinese stocks in general. So Chinese stocks, I've kind of stayed away in general because of all the political influence from the CCP. I used to own NEO, so NEO was a big part, well, not a big part of the channel, but very small part of my portfolio not too long ago, and I ended up getting rid of it for a pretty hefty loss on a percentage basis. Dollar amount, not so much, but percentage basis, certainly about 80% down on that stock, so I ended up getting rid of it and deploying that capital somewhere else. So I would be very careful, with Chinese stocks, just from a more political perspective, that there's going to be that CCP influence, whatever regulatory efforts that they're putting in over in that country, that's going to be, obviously affecting a lot of Chinese stocks. And you can already see the stimulus comes in, Chinese stocks just absolutely boom, 62% for Alibaba, and then it drops 30%. So We're dealing with an incredible amount of volatility because it's trading on fundamentals. It's trading on external factors other than fundamentals. So Alibaba support level $77 is where it's going to be at the moment. Now, NVO dropped about 17-20% on pre-market on their weight loss drug news. So I saw that as well. Thomas, where on Discord did you share the current stocks that you hold? So it's actually going to be on investing alerts. So on investing alerts, if you go there, you should be able to see that. Let me see if I can bring it up for you. So under investing alerts, you should be able to see all the existing positions. So that right there is going to be where I've posted it. So that's going to be right there under investing alerts, and you will be able to see these existing positions. So that's PayPal, Tesla, VUG, SMH, Palantir, SoFi, IBIT, and then Amazon. And yes, I will be rolling my SOXL puts because this is my options positions right now. So I shared both the long-term positions and then the options positions that are currently open and that I have. NVIDIA, of course, I've got 600 shares, Tesla 100 shares. Then I've got covered calls on both NVIDIA, Tesla, and then these SOXL puts need to be rolled out like today, considering that I'm already in the money by quite a bit. SOXL right now is pre-market down about 2%. I'm actually not that much in the money. Strikes at 26, so I'm a little bit in the money by about 20 cents. We'll see, if SOXL finds any buyers for it to be pushing up again or not. But here we go. This is the NASDAQ opening in at around 19,180. So that's where we are on the 5-minute chart, coming down about 1%, and SPX is down a little bit over 70 basis points as well, about 0.5% lower. So we'll see if there's any buyers that bite or if there's any bids that start coming in. But 2.79 is where we are. Markets just opened. The MoneyVest Index just got updated, and we are at 2.79 with a market snapshot, concentration with a total sell-off right now about $250 billion, $247 billion to be precise, is what we're seeing for the market. But I do feel like there might be some buyers stepping in today. There's also triple witching, so there's a lot of futures, index options, stock options expiring. But yesterday, I was a little bit confident that we're going to see a fade out in this market rally. But today, I'm a little bit more inclined to believe that there might be some buyers that step in, considering that we're starting with a huge gap down. And usually when we see huge gap downs, there's buyers that step in intraday. I could be wrong, but again, we'll find out. Rest of the day today. So, would you consider to roll the expirations and strike up if your covered calls are very profitable and there's a lot of time left on the contract? I mean, so if you're rolling, so you're already rolling, your question is about rolling a profitable covered call, which is already out of the money. Is that what you're asking, Wall Street Holics? I mean, in some cases, you can even roll in. You might be able to roll in on the expiration and roll down on strikes and still get a net credit in some circumstances if, of course, your calls are out of the money and you've done really well. I mean, if they're up quite a bit. But if you could clarify exactly what that question is, I'm more than happy to answer. When will we see SOXL at 32.55 again? I mean, Chris, that's a very specific question. Nobody really knows the answer to that. And so that's why, it's really important for everyone to kind of understand that we're not trying to predict the market. Where, I never try to predict where stocks or anything is going to go because I have no idea. And if I try to predict every single day, I'm going to be more wrong than right. And I don't want to be more wrong. So that's not a game that I want to play at all. I just want to look at the markets where they are today and then make my decisions based off of that. And so given that, we're obviously selling off, you come over to the charts right here and you'll notice that we're already breaking down. We're already breaking down from this higher low. And that's why I said that, there's possible that we do see some buyers step in today because we could get back up to this resistance. That's a 19,345. Tagging onto that resistance, and then we could see more downside. S&P 500 is already making a new lower low, which is not a good thing. It's just not a good thing at all, because you'll notice that we're already starting to trade below this support. So this right here was a previous low, and we just printed a new lower low. it's a very small lower low, but it's still a little bit of a shift in the overall direction. And so that's why I'm a little bit concerned about a beginning of a change in direction. Now, on a more short-term basis, yes, like I said, there might be some buyers to step back in to tag us at that resistance, but the overall trend is still not that great. So, okay, like your Tesla covered call, would you move to a lower strike and earlier expiration? So I'll have to check and see, whether it even makes sense to do that. Because I'll have to check what kind of net credit I can get for that rollout, for the roll in basically. So I have 100 shares of Tesla. What should be done with it? So Omar, it depends a lot on what your target is, like what your goal is with Tesla. So if you are looking at holding that long term, then of course you're not going to be doing anything. But if you are planning to, let's say it was just a trade, then yes, it makes a lot of sense for you to get rid of it depending on how much you're up. Or if you're looking to hedge, you can sell some calls. There's a lot of things that you can do. It just depends on what your objective, what your goal is. Okay, so for my Tesla $850 call, I'm up like 15% or $624. The $800 call that I sold, I'm still down about 4% right now. And then the Palantir call that I sold, I'm down about 8% on that. And PayPal call that I sold, I'm down about $286 on that. So these are all hedges that are just simply allowing for that position to be hedged and have some protection, downside protection right now. So there are too many call options out there. Wall Street won't allow themselves to lose money. They'll buy up today for sure, drop on Monday. So yeah, I mean, it's possible that we do see a little bit of that intraday, price action to the upside, and if there's some buyers that step in. On which trading platforms do you trade options? There's a lot of them. We actually have a whole list on our platform, on our Discord, going over all the different brokerage platforms that members use. So you can pretty much check that out. They're broken down by different countries. So depending on where you're located, I'm sure we've got members in that country that have put down the brokers that they use, and you can refer to that list. And there's going to be a lot of different ones that you can access. So inflation numbers came in a little bit better than what the expectations were. Volatility is coming back down, so that's good. Down a little bit over 6%, back down to low 20s, low 22s, around those levels. Crude oil prices selling off. Bitcoin is starting to recover a little bit. BITX is also down close to 1%. This is an ETF that I'm really considering right now. It's down 24%, so I actually may start a position in this today or next week, just depending on how low Bitcoin really goes. But yeah, really considering BITX as a Bitcoin position, Bitcoin play moving forward. So let's see if Tesla breaks above 430. Let's see if Nvidia breaks above 131. It's gonna, I think, put us in the green. And like I said, it's possible that we do see intraday buyers step in, as we are seeing right now. But it's really gonna come down to whether we get rejected here at these levels, or if we're able to turn green, and if we're able to close back above that level, which is the real question. That's the real question here. Old resistance turning into a new support, turning back into a resistance now. So that's really what we're waiting to see. And as discussed earlier, there's going to be some buyers stepping in my opinion, as we can see right now. But then the real question is, are we going to see this breakout or get this rejection there for the markets? In my opinion, I think we're going to see a little bit of that resistance come in, and might not be able to see a breakout above this. Yeah, Fidelity is really good. Charles Schwab, I personally wouldn't recommend, but it is okay. Then there's also E-Trade, there's Webull, there's Robinhood. Robinhood is probably the best in terms of UI and trading options, if you're in the US, of course, but other countries, of course, have their own platforms. So yes, quantum stocks. I'm going to be doing a video on that very soon. I'm actually going to be doing a video on a lot of different stocks on our Patreon, because we're going to be doing some deep dives, some very, very deep due diligence on a lot of these individual stocks for 2025. So all those videos are going to be released on Patreon for everyone, and we're going to be doing our private members only live stream as well towards the end of this year to go over what to look forward to in 2025, and what stocks and ETFs to really be focusing on, what themes, what sectors, what strategies to focus on. So we're going to really write down a lot of different things. So here we go. I think we're going to get rejected there for both the S&P and the NASDAQ. So I think that's going to lead to a little bit of a shift in direction. And usually when these sell-offs begin, they definitely do take a little bit of time to recover. And I also want to take a look at the moving averages here. So let me just bring up some moving averages. So right now we've got the 50, I think. Yep, so we got the 50 moving average. And let's see. So 50, and I'm also going to include for the 100. So I got both the 50 and the 100. And let's see. So the last time we actually broke down below the 50 was actually back in September of this year, September 24. But then we got validated by the 100. Before that, we broke down below 50 and 100. I'm assuming we got validated by 200 at that point. So I'm going to highlight that one, maybe 150. Let's see if that one's. Yep, so 150. And then prior to that was, once again, back in April. So really, if you just remove for all the technical analysis here, the S&P 500 obviously is still very much within an uptrend. We have made some lower lows, in the past, but then that's been followed up by a higher low to continue that uptrend trajectory. But the white line is the 50 SMA. The yellow line is the 100 SMA. And so you'll notice that every time you break down below 50, there's some validation that comes in from the 100 couple times already. You can see that. So I'm just going to remove a lot of these drawings for now. But this right here was 100 validation. This right where it was 100 validation. 50 validation, 50 validation. This right here was a breakdown across both 50 and 100, and then 150 stepped in at that price. So right now we're below the 50. 57, 51 is going to be the 100 right there. So that would be a level which I think would be a lot more reasonable. Also aligns well with the support right about here. That's a horizontal support for the S&P 500. And NASDAQ, let's take a quick look here. And NASDAQ, we've got the 100, we've got the 150, we got the 50-50. Right now, we're still above the 50 moving average. So NASDAQ still has a little bit more hope than the S&P 500 right now. Sargil, thank you so much for that donation. Also, let's go Moderna short term. Let's take a quick look on that stock here. Definitely been selling off very aggressively. So a lot of selling pressure here. And I would put down his support right about there, of course, at 35.73. And then a resistance all the way up here, say roughly at $61, kind of aligned with that previous support for Moderna. And it's incredibly oversold on the RSI, the MACD, L3 banker oscillator. Like everything is just really overdone to the downside on a weekly time frame. So I would keep a close eye on a near-term resistance right about there. 47.30. If you get a breakout above this, the next target is going to be $61. So that's where we are. We hit the top right. Ishwar says, yeah, I mean, it's possible. I wouldn't be surprised if we did for at least some time, considering how much bearish sentiment there is in the market once again. So cybersecurity stocks, can you manifest AMD bottom today? Fingers crossed. Well, AMD is, certainly coming down to a huge area of support at 116. It's been trading inside this downtrending channel, of lower highs and lower lows quite a bit. So this right here is the lower high and the lower low. So if you come over to the sector analysis very quickly, let's take a look here. SPY, XLK, XLY, everything down. Healthcare really has been, picking up just a little bit. So we got Eli Lilly that's obviously moving higher, on the back of Novo Nordisk's news. So NVO obviously selling off. Let's take a look at how much it is still down over. Yeah, so almost 20% down, over $82. Right now it's where it's trading at the moment. So huge sell-off in this stock right now. So I'm gonna have to definitely revisit this company, because this was still is a very, very strong and solid stock here. It's coming down to that higher low, and this right here would be a much stronger support at 75 for Novo Nordisk. TMF, let's take a look. Getting some relief on the day today, as yields looks like they're coming down by 1%, so back down to 4.5%. And TMF is at a support, so we are inside this green rectangle again. You know what? I actually could see myself taking a trade on TMF again, but it has to be very, very well calculated, considering that it's always got that risk, especially when you've got a macro trade which is also leveraged by 3 times. So you have to be very precise in your understanding of what to expect, and then where to have your stop losses if things don't go according to plan. So I could see myself a trade on TMF in 2025, and AMD is coming down to some pretty attractive levels as well. So that's going to be it for today, everyone. Again, just shorter live stream because I got to spend a lot of time on our Discord, sending updates and alerts, and I'm a lot more active over there. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. If you want to open a support ticket, do that as well. My team will help you immediately if you have any troubles with Patreon or MoneyVest website or anything related to that. So thank you so much for joining in. Really appreciate you all. So we did see some intraday buyers stepping in, coming up to that resistance as we discussed, and then of course getting rejected at that level. So NASDAQ here on the daily, you'll notice that we got rejected right about there. We were talking about this literally earlier in the live stream. So in 30 minutes, we just covered that. And then S&P 500 also, you'll notice perfectly getting rejected right at that resistance, which again is previous resistance and a support at that level as well. We got a little bit of a breakdown from this rising wedge. This was the brutal day on Wednesday, and we're seeing a little bit of that continuation on the day today as well. So once again, thank you so much for joining, everyone. Really appreciate you all. This week is brutal for sure, but make sure that you drop a like, subscribe, and also if you want to join our Discord, our community, again, link's going to be down below. You can also choose to pay annually and save 16%, get 2 free months, and of course get access to all the benefits, including trade alerts, portfolio updates, Discord access, website access. Everything's going to be available with a link down below. And if you want to start learning, there's a lot of educational courses, 4 courses that are available with this tier. You can check out all the curriculum over here as well. So once again, thank you so much for joining. Happy investing. I'll see you all in the next video, and have a great week.